Hello friends, let's talk about this landscape painting called Bridge. At this stage I have already covered the skies with ultramarine blue and the mix of cerulean blue, and the background was a dark hill with the violet from Camden and a little bit of Payne's gray. Where I'm trying to cover with the lighter values of the mix of burnt umber from Winsor & Newton with the mix of sap green color. At this point I'm trying to touch the points around the structure, which is pretty far in the landscape and a second focal point of the painting. The first focal point of the painting is about the bridge, which we are going to touch soon. At this point I'm just giving the first wash carefully around the figures, around the edges, just trying to cover the highlights, the background land with the brown color, burnt umber, mix of burnt sienna, sap green and Hooker's green deep. Trying to add a bit more green, which is a mix of Hooker's green deep and Viridian hue, along with sap green to give the impression of the far-sighted trees and the greener areas in the landscape. This is the first wash with darker values of the green, which is nothing but the Viridian hue, and Hooker's green deep to cover the foreground. Some stand tall trees over there with the bigger brush strokes. You might have noticed I'm using at the moment Bristow's brush to give a perspective. I'm just painting the trees at the far side in the background with the smaller shapes in comparison to the foreground. Some of the touch points around the trees in the background, which gonna come as a meaningful objects when you look at the complete landscape. Some of the touch points are around the bridge, the lower area. It talks about the shadow. This is the first stroke on the bridge where I'm trying to add the darker values with burnt umber and Payne's gray in the mix, trying to give the darker first wash on the bridge. Here I'm using the fine pointed the escoda brushes. Carefully I'm painting around the edges, not trying to destroy the white area which I have left intentionally to show the areas where sun is hitting directly on that structure. In the second wash, I'm just dabbing the brush its tip with the darker, even darker values of Meridian Hue, Hooker's Deep Green, mix of Payne's Gray and Burnt Umber to show the shadow underneath that bridge and the trees under that bridge. Some of the trees are behind that bridge and their shadows. I'm not getting into the minute details around the road below that structure, trying to get the right color to paint the roofs of these buildings carefully. Mixing the color, and after that I'm just trying to carefully give the hard edges to denote the shadows of those buildings. Few windows, the areas where the sun is not hitting directly or where building is having some shadow. Now this is the second wash with darker, creamer sort of mix of Hooker's Green Deep, Meridian Hue, Payne's Gray, and Burnt Umber. It's a 70 to 80% of the green in there from Meridian Hue. These trees are closer in the landscape, closer for the viewer, hence these are dark. A little bit spray I'm just adding by preventing the area which I'm not targeting to spray. I don't want accidentally to create a muddy or mix the areas which are already printed with hard edges. I'm just giving some of the darker color, the darker values of the green, which will eventually get dry and will leave a mark of far-sighted tree-like structure in the background of the landscape. Carefully touching the shadows and the even darker areas of that building. Hope this makes sense now. Likewise, I'll touch all the areas where we see darker shadows, darker areas between those buildings and walls. I'm just speeding this up so that you don't have to look each and every bit of the shadow, but you get an idea of painting the shadow. That makes lots of difference in your structure. Minutely picking the details around the background roads and some of the highlight points that behind what is behind this bridge. Somewhere a road is leading to. Hope you had a great time watching and learning the video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you again.